Well, we might as well get into it. Welcome back to Styles Makes Fights. And we all know that. We all know the Styles makes fights no matter what. And John Jones, once again, has shown why he is one of the best in the world. And it's kind of crazy that we actually doubted John Jones. I mean, the guy took 3 years off. This is not his first layoff, first of all. He took a layoff before he fought OSP. He took a layoff before he fought DC for the second time. So this is not his first time he's taking a layoff and looking spectacular in a performance. So the fact that we even doubted all these questions, are all the questions answered? No, we didn't get to see how he moved at heavyweight. We didn't get to see, but we seen his reaction time. We seen how strong he was, how easily he was able to manhandle Gane. He's a legit heavyweight. He's been training with heavyweights, with Henry Cejudo and different wrestlers of different calibers and wrestling with big dudes in his camp. So it's like, why are we surprised like this dynamic? Is the most basic of dynamics in MMA right now. Almost every fighter, every champion is primarily a grappler, I would like to say, in some sense of the fashion. Not all of them. Every division has a striker except for, I'm going off topic here, but every division seems to have like a wrestling champion except for the middleweights. For some reason, there's just no wrestling middleweights except Bo Nichols. Bo Nichols is coming up. Potentially Khamzat Chimaev if he decides to go that route, but for the most part, it's all strikers. That's why Adesanya. I don't really count Whitaker. Whitaker, he's a good grappler, but Whitaker is a good grappler, but he's not the high level grappler in that division. So that's why Adesanya and Alex Bojera, they're gonna dominate that division until Bo Nichols, if he gets there. But yeah, let me go on a little rant here. So, what's his name? Derek Brunson. I mean, he was a wrestler in the division. Adesanya disposed of him pretty easily. Where does he go now? I guess he was top 10, number 5. And then Duplessis, he took his spot. He was top 10. He was in the top 10. I think that they don't want to rush Bo Nichols. But the fight makes sense. One guy who was at the top of his career beat a lot of top up-and-coming fighters. He beat all the fighters that were up-and-coming, and he destroyed them and finished them in that division. I think I would love to see that fight. Bo Nichols versus Derek Brunson. Derek Brunson, I feel like he's on his way down. Maybe he can come back up. I don't know what he's doing in his training camp. It's like he's always gassed out. He's always tired. He's strong in like the first round and stuff, but then he has like this lazy kind of boxing movement type thing. I mean, it's like, I understand, like, it's a competition. It's hard. I'm not a fighter, so I'm not going to say nothing, but I've competed. But it's just like, he should not be this tired. You see it in all his fights. He gets kind of lazy, sloppy with his techniques, and he either wins in the first or second round, or he ends up getting finished. That's just his thing. But I say Bo Nichols versus Derek Brunson. I mean, it's a big jump, a huge jump, but let's be honest. Bo Nichols can beat Brunson. Let's just be honest. Maybe. There's always an asterisk. You just don't never know with MMA. But great performance by John Jones. Don't know why we doubted him to begin with. The most basic of dynamics in fighting right now is striker versus wrestler. And the wrestler right now, 95% of the time is going to win. 95% of the time. Unless you get some crazy Jorge Masvidal flying knee, or someone like someone who has great takedown defense, Volkanovski, or Robert Whitaker. 2 rugby players, by the way. So they have strong base, and they're used to dealing with heavy guys. So I think that kind of says a lot too. But yeah, he made it look easy like he said it would. The doubts are over. He says he has one more fight in him. He wants to fight Stipe Miocic. And the way he's talking right now, the way he sounds so confident, I think he goes out there and says what he says he's going to do. Especially if this is going to be his last fight. He's going to do his homework. That's the one thing that John Jones does so well. He studies his opponents. The way he was able to slip the jab of Gane and getting close to take his back, take him down. He studied this. Gane likes to throw long range jabs. He's talked about this in the press conference. In both stances, he has a weakness where, and I'm guessing that was it, he overextends on his jab. And Jon Jones stayed close enough, glued to him, to where he would be able to capitalize by just slipping his head just slightly, ever so slightly. Hugging his back, getting his head close enough to his back so he wouldn't be able to push his arm through to get the reverse, and just took him to the ground. And I've seen comments, there's really dumb comments, saying, why didn't Gane just stand up? Why didn't this? Why didn't that? Like, when you're inexperienced in grappling from that big a gap, he's a striker. He only had a short amount of time to prepare. I don't know what made him think that amount of time would be okay. Because he's had his way with all the other heavyweights, but they're all strikers. We haven't seen him face any wrestlers. If he's striking, he's gonna win. 95% of the time, he's probably gonna win. But because there's nobody that moves like him, nobody has the angles and movements like him, so he's probably gonna win those exchanges. And the heavyweights are kind of slower compared to him. Although I would have liked to see him face Stipe. Stipe versus him would have been a good matchup because Stipe is a stand-up fighter. Yeah, Jon Jones goes out there, he beats Stipe, he's the heavyweight GOAT, and he retires on top. Congrats. Ciryl Gane. Maybe he ends up being the heavyweight GOAT once Jon Jones leaves because everybody's primarily a striker. How does he do against Razor Blades? Razor Blades has hands. He has wrestling. How does he fare against someone like that? Based on what we've seen, not too well. Not too well. If I had to bet my money on it, I'll give it on Razor Blades. But there's still a future for Ciryl Gane, just not when Jon Jones is there. That's just the reality of it. But yeah, most of the champions right now are predominantly grapplers in some sense of the fashion. Let's just go down the list. Flyweight. Let me see. Flyweight division. Marina. He's well rounded, but I believe a majority of his wins are by submission. Anyways, I'm not gonna look that up, but yeah, I'm pretty sure. And then what we have, bantamweight division. Who owns the bantamweight division? Bantamweight is Aljamain, right? Aljamain Sterling, wrestler. Featherweight division, and Yair, he's interim. I don't even know why they made that happen, but they just throw an interim out there anyways. He's a striker, but Volk, he's a striker, but he's a good wrestler as well. Islam 155. Kamaru was the champion at 170, but we got a striker now, Leon Edwards. But I think Kamaru Usman takes that one back. 185, striker. Light heavyweight, a striker. Heavyweight, wrestler. So right now everybody's getting more mixed into the martial arts. Light heavyweight, do they have any wrestlers? It's like, where's all the wrestlers going? It's like there's not a lot of wrestlers. It's like it's becoming a strike, which is fine. But it's just like, where's the Islams and Kamzats and the Jon Jones and the Khabibs of the divisions now? It's like they're all kind of fading away and everybody's a striker. But everybody knows that striking is going to get you a bigger payday, bigger fan base anyway. So maybe that's why everybody's kind of going towards that route. Bo Nickel, maybe we'll see how far he goes. There's nobody in light heavyweight that's a wrestler that I can think of. Everybody's a striker. But yeah, I guess everybody's just getting more well-rounded in that aspect. But that's just my thoughts. That's my thoughts. Who should fight who next? I will say Jalen Turner, man. I really wanted him to win. He's a unique fighter, I think. A unique style. I'm impressed with his performances. He did lose to Vicente Luque. I think that was one of his fights where I was like, man, this guy's not. He's not that good. But then he made a resurgence. He was fighting at 170, which I didn't like. But now 155, dude, shredded, fast, sharp, great conditioning. I mean, the guy is good. The guy is good. Unfortunately, he fought somebody who was a wrestler on short week's notice. But this is my thing. I'm sure he's training grappling. The champion is grappling. Is a wrestler, I mean, at the division. The top 5 fighters in that division are predominantly wrestlers. So I'm sure he's training grappling. But still, if he had just a little bit more time, I feel like there could have been some things, just a little bit of changes he could have made. Short notice fights always go in the favor of the fighter who didn't have to train that much to take the fight. They didn't have to do no practice. They just go in there. There's no win or lose for them. Versus somebody who's had a focus on fighting one person, one style. So it's just, there's no win. I feel like when people say, oh, he took this fight on short week's notice and he went out there and he looked spectacular. I don't see that. I see somebody who's always training. I see somebody who's prepared to fight, obviously, and has nothing to lose. Same way somebody's training for 3 months, but training for 3 months for a striker. They're two different things. I don't know what is going to happen as far as the divisions go. We got a lot of great fights coming up. Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman. I think Kamaru takes that one back. I'll probably do a different video for that one. Islam, I don't know what's happening with him. Volk obviously has to fight Yair. Yair is no joke, but as we've seen Frankie Edgar take him down, is Volk gonna want to stand? Yair is too rangy. He's too rangy. I'm gonna do a different video on that one. But as far as all the divisions go, there's a lot of great competition, a lot of great fights to be made. I mean, I'm not a fan of fighters taking short notice fights because just if you're a steady person, just like John Jones, he's one of the best studiers in the game. He'll study and break you down from your best positions to your worst positions, like he said before. Then you're not going to be prepared for somebody you're fighting. No matter if you think you're the best fighter in the world, like, you're going to make the fans angry, Dana White angry. This is the problem. They're always scared of that. And on top of that, they lose a paycheck. But if you want to continue reigning, being the best, staying on top, doing your homework like John Jones, you can be the best. It's a game. It's war. You got to study. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say about that.